Welcome to the Perfectly Flawed podcast. Thank you so much for joining me today. For those that don't know you, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, hi, I'm Tayla. I'm a swimmer in Brizzy, and I've been asked onto this podcast by the lovely Renee.
Awesome. So you are based in Brisbane and you're a swimmer. What made you fall in love with swimming?
Um, it's actually funny. I was tossing up between swimming and netball for so long. I really was in love with the both of them. I think swimming had my heart a little bit more, and being kind of like average age is a lot younger than the average netballer's age when you're successful. So I kind of was like, I'll go into swimming, and by the end, it did have my heart a bit more. So I chose to swim full time at the start of grade 11. And yeah, I just love it.
Yeah, fair enough. I'm a swimmer myself, so I know what it's like to fall in love with the water. I know like swimming is a pretty tough sport, and I think people outside of it can underestimate it about how hard it can be and how hard the training can be. How is it like for you? How do you find a hard session?
I'm a trainer more than a racer. They say you can usually be one or the other, and I love training. It's like my zen time. And I find that like if I'm putting myself in that, in the way of hurt and in the way of pain, I'm actually enjoying it more. It definitely still means I feel it. Definitely still painful, but pushing through those hard sessions, I just kind of think of the reward that like how good I'm going to feel when I finish the session, when I put this into a race plan. Yeah, like I just kind of power through with little mantras, I guess, to that
That's
regard.
awesome. It's so interesting that you say you're more of a trainer because I haven't come across many people that say that. I feel like everyone's like, oh, I'm just in it for the racing.
Yeah, it's definitely rarer to be more of a trainer, but I don't know, it's just the way I'm wired. It's like my therapy, I guess.
For sure. So you said like you have a few mantras that get you through. What are some of those?
So it really depends on the session. When I'm training and it's speed, I'm thinking about my rate. I'm very rate based as a breaststroker. And sometimes I kind of listen to songs in my head to like kind of get the tempo going. But in terms of mantras, it's just, the classics, like just keep going, keep pushing, like one more. It's always one more. If you think about the next one, you don't think about the 12 you've got after it. You just get through the one and then the next one and the next one. I find that helps to kind of break down the session a bit.
Yeah, I'm definitely the same. Like breaking it into smaller chunks makes it a lot more bearable for sure.
Yeah.
How do you go? Like, obviously, you said like training is where your passion is, I guess. How do you go leading into a race? Do you ever get nervous, and how do you go about those nerves?
I think nerves are pretty normal. Like I'm pretty sure everyone would have nerves leading into the race. I usually don't get super nervous right until I'm behind the blocks, and that's when I'm kind of like, oh, I'm a bit shaky, or like I can really feel it in my stomach. I honestly, the best way for me to combat nerves is to not think about them, and I just kind of accept that they're there, and I don't go, oh shit, I'm so nervous, like, oh no. I just kind of let them be, let myself feel them. And then when I get on the blocks, it really helps to channel my nerves into my race and allow that little bit of adrenaline to kick in and help me swim fast.
What you said there about accepting them, that, yep, they're there, I'm aware of them, but not really like giving too much fuel to it, like just not exacerbating it. Like, yep, they're there. We're just going to move on from it. We're going to think about something else and focus on the race.
Exactly, because it's very easy to get anxious and let your head rule you instead of you ruling your own mind. So that's kind of one way that I allow that to not happen.
Yeah, I love that. That's so good. What do you think has been one of your biggest challenges that you've faced so far?
I did have a pretty bad shoulder injury when I was younger, and I could only kick for about, I would say, upwards of 8 months. I had a bursitis tendonitis and a small tear in my right shoulder. So the recovery for that was pretty rough because I was super keen to get back in the water, and I'd get in too soon and then do damage again and have to have recovery. And it was like a cycle for about almost a year. But at that 8 month mark, I'd kind of gotten my head around the rest I needed and the change I needed to, put the recovery into effect in training. So that was a pretty big setback, especially mentally. That one, you know, swimmers value their sport. It's like, it's almost your highest priority when you're an elite athlete, and being able to like put that aside and focus on other things while you're injured, or, you know, shift your mentality to, you know, oh, it's okay if I'm just getting back into it, just recovering, just like, that's a very hard thing to do, especially I was 15, 16, I think. So that really knocked me around a bit. It's just the mentality that comes with injury is sometimes a hard one to get over, but I'm through it, so it's all good.
Yeah, injuries are super tough. I mean, I'm injured at the moment, and I'm definitely still very much in it, and I don't know when the end is going to come. And it is super tough. It is really hard, and I think people forget, although yes, it's a physical injury, it takes just as much on you mentally as anything else. And
definitely,
as you said, like, trying to wrap your head around, like, okay, I need to pull back here because I will do further damage, and this is going to extend my recovery, and it's just going to be an endless cycle.
Exactly, yeah. And I got stuck in that cycle for a little bit until I got pulled out of it by one of my physios, who basically shook me and was like, you need to rest. And I was like, okay, I'll listen. But it's the uncertainty that came with it is, I think, what really got to me.
Yeah, and I can almost see like the uncertainty. I mean, obviously it's been different in Brisbane to what it has been in Melbourne, but the uncertainty of COVID and how that impacts training and not knowing what's going to happen. And, you know, things have been so good for you guys in Queensland, and to go into a snap lockdown, it's hard. It's like, oh my God, okay, what am I going to do now? How do I wrap my head around this? When are we going to be able to go back?
Yeah,
how have you managed that, particularly, I mean, last year with the longer lockdown?
Yeah, so last year we had 3 months out of the water, and so my training regime turned into swimming off a bungee in the backyard pool, or my neighbour's backyard pool, because unfortunately we filled ours in 3 months before lockdown, so we no longer had a pool. This is the worst timing in the world.
Oh no.
Yeah, so I borrowed my neighbour's pool. I went for runs, which, if any swimmer is listening, they'll know how fun running can be when you're uncoordinated, especially with bad knees as a breaststroker. And then I did a couple of ocean swims, but I'm not the biggest fan of the ocean unless it's just, I get to just float. So, you know, it was tough. It was winter as well, so it was freezing. But yeah, it's just, I got into the mental state of, I just have to keep going because we are going to come back, and I don't want to come back super unfit. So that's kind of where I got my headspace, and I was just push through. This is temporary. This is temporary. That turned into one of my mantras. Yeah, for 3 months. All good now. We're through it. The trials and the comps leading into Olympic trials, you know, there was so much uncertainty surrounding those as well. But we all just had to train like they were still going ahead, because now they have gone ahead. So thank God everyone didn't just give up and throw in the towel and go, nah, this is too annoying, or anything like that.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it does make it hard to plan, like, how do I train for something that I don't even know if it's going to happen yet?
Yeah, definitely.
How did you go at trials then? Like, given, I mean, a bit of a different lead in, I guess, is probably the best way to put it.
Yeah, it's interesting. So I changed coaches about 6 months ago, and I've had 3 major meets under my new coach. It's been a really good change for my health and my happiness as well. Like, I'm someone who every now and then I just need a change. So needed this one. Yeah, so my best meet this year, it was actually nationals in April, where I just dropped heaps of times off my PBs. I'm top 8 in Australia. And all that good stuff. Then we had a Sydney Open meet, which was kind of like, you just train through that one. It was a target meet in case trials couldn't go ahead, but everyone was pretty smashed at that one, to be honest. And then trials, I actually didn't hit my best times. I did take a lot of time off in April, so being able to hit those times again, I was within a second of them, which I was happy with, because like for my 200, I took off 3 seconds in April, which is like a significant chunk of time.
Yeah.
To then come and back that up again and do another PB 3 months later, or 2 months later even. So yeah, but I still had that expectation of myself. Like, I was expecting to go in and do PBs and make the A final, and all those good things. It didn't happen, but it hasn't discouraged me from continuing swimming, of course. So I'm happy with it overall.
Yeah, that's so good to hear that. You spoke about transitioning clubs. What's that like?
Interesting. I swim at Rackley, so you can actually move pools without moving clubs. So it's good. You don't have to buy all new team gear and everything. But yeah, I moved from the Centenary pool to the Hibiscus pool, and it was an interesting transition. I actually took a month out of the water right after I left my old coach. I needed a reset. So I just took that time. I knew I'd be better for it in the long run instead of powering through. My new squad has really welcomed me with open arms. It's been great to be there. And, I've made a lot of good friends in my new squad, and I've also still got a lot of good friends from my old squad, which is nice. But yeah, it was an interesting time kind of with everything that was happening with COVID, and we'd all just come back from into the pools maybe July, and then I left that squad in around September. So I'd only been back with them properly for a couple of months before leaving properly. But yeah, I didn't mind the move. I like change and I embrace change, so I wasn't too daunted by it. But it is like leaving family. So it was a bit hard to, pack up and move when you've trained with these guys for 6 years and been under that coach for so long. So yeah. But I've got a new family now.
Yeah, it definitely is, especially when you see them all day, every day. They do definitely become a second family. And
Definitely.
I've moved clubs before, and I was at my club for 8 years before I moved. And so it is hard to move. But you also said in that you embrace change. That's amazing. I hate change. I find it so overwhelming.
Okay. Yeah, that's okay. Like, I just find there's been a lot of changes in my life, so I'm kind of used to it. Like, for one, we used to travel a lot as kids, so it was like, oh, don't get used to staying in one place for too long because we're going to be over here, or you're going to be sleeping over at your cousins over here. Like, there was no time to be attached.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's kind of just stayed with me. And I noticed that as a kid, every change that came never brought many negatives. It was more positives. So I just kind of jump into it. Why not?
That's awesome that you have that attitude towards it. That's so good.
Thank you.
Said also that before when you did that transition, you took a month out to reset. What made you make that decision?
Part of it was where I was at mentally. I had become very stale in the sport in the last maybe 2 years. Like, I wasn't hitting my best times. I wasn't loving training, which is a big thing for me as a trainer. I wasn't going to training with that same energy and that same enjoyment that I once had. And I just kind of realized, like, I need to pull away from the sport to know if I want to go back. And I definitely am glad that I did, because I know I want to be here more than ever. Swimming just has this pull. And I actually last night watched the Head Above Water the Head Above Water docuseries on Amazon, and Bronte Campbell talks about the pull that swimming has quite in depth, and it's very interesting to kind of relate to that, because it's never really been put into words, that feeling. But yeah, she just kind of says that, you're never going to be done. You're never going to be completed. Swimming's never going to feel finished, but you need to finish your career at a time where you feel like you gave it your all. And I guess I wasn't at that spot, and I wanted to come back.
That's so awesome. I haven't seen it yet. It's definitely something that I want to watch, but the way that you articulated that and have interpreted that, that's awesome.
Thank you. Yeah, it's a really good. I recommend.
Yeah, it sounds it. I definitely need to get onto that. When, like you said, that you took time away because you needed it, you felt like you were a bit stuck. How do you go about that? Like, how do you recognize that's how you're feeling? And then how do you implement that change?
So a lot of it was just how I was rocking up during about the last month or two to training at my old club. I was very aware that I was not the same me from pre-COVID even. I just kind of noticed that, hey, I'm not enjoying this. I need to make a change. So I sat down with my coach and just told him that I need some time out of the water and that I was leaving, and, he took it well. And yeah, from there, I just had a month off. I reassessed during that month. So I basically sat down with myself and went, where am I at? Where do I want to be, like, in life, not just swimming, with everything? Like, what are my priorities? What have I got that's leading me to those priorities, or ensuring I am prioritizing correctly? And another part of it was, like, when I'm out of the water for a long time, I get really jittery. So, like, if those, like, jitters didn't come back, I kind of knew that I was not as in love with the sport as I thought, because I'm by the end of like a 1 or 2 week break, I'm usually itching to get back in the water, which is actually where I'm at now. We're having 2 weeks off after tries. I'm like jittery in my seat, like tapping my feet all the time. But yeah, I just kind of saw all those signs and sat down with myself and made a plan. I actually got in contact with my old coach from when I was like 10 to 12, who's been a big mentor in my life. And we had a chat as well. And he just said over and over again, he's like, whatever you do, don't quit swimming. Everyone quits when they're 20, 21. Don't quit swimming. Don't quit swimming. And I was like, okay, like, got it. But so yeah, I made a plan with him. I actually went and swam with him for a couple of months before moving to my current club now, my current pool. So yeah, it was kind of nice to have the support of him and his team at his pool before moving and solidifying a spot at where I am now.
Yeah, and it's so important to have that support around you. It's crucial, and especially when you have to make bigger decisions, it's really important to be able to bounce those ideas off someone else.
Yeah, definitely. And like, he was really good. Like, we had a lot of meetings. He was like, Tay, you can come in here. This is your halfway house for now. Because I couldn't stay there because he has swimmers up to like a bronze or junior level. And I'm like, the way it's broken down here, like, that's maybe he's got 15-year-olds at most, and I'm 21, and I'm swimming at trials. Like, they're just going to states and nationals at this point, which is very exciting for them, but it means I have no one to train against. So he just said, come and swim when you want to swim, like wherever, whatever, like just come, get in the water. So I did that for a couple of months. We made a goal to do a PB at state sprints in February, and we got that. And then after that, I got my confidence back. And after that, I moved to where I am now.
To switch gears a little bit here, what kind of impact do you think social media has?
Oh, social media is an interesting one, especially with all the hype that's just been posted everywhere with trials and things. You've got everyone making their Olympic dreams, which is so exciting for them, and you can't take that away from them at all. And of course, they want to celebrate that, and part of that these days is posting about it, which is like, you deserve it, so good on you. And then you've got the people who have just missed out, and they're devastated by it because it's once every 4 years, this time 5 years, so it's even a longer wait. And they're seeing all these posts, and I can just imagine how it's affecting their mental health if they're really hard on themselves. I'm usually not so hard on myself. I kind of know where I'm at, and I know that for me this year making the team was unrealistic, but I did want to make that final in 200, but that didn't come about. But yeah, it's amazing how as soon as you win, you're somebody, and you could have won last year and come fourth this year and you're off the podium, so you're nobody. Like, it's so cutthroat in the media. And I love seeing everyone's posts on social media. I think they're great. It's the usual, I guess, you're only seeing the highlight reel. And I think that's fine, especially like, if they're getting their Olympic dream, awesome. But there's all these people who haven't achieved that this time, and it might be hard for them to sift through their social media and not be reminded of it for a few weeks, especially with Olympics around the corner now, a few months. I guess it's just, I don't know, it's an interesting psychology of, you've made it, best you haven't, and how people bounce back from that when they haven't. And social media really doesn't help with that, especially if you're avidly consuming a lot of it and you're confirming in your brain that, yes, you haven't made it. Yes, this is rough. Yes. Like, another interesting thing, though, I find is just the media in general. I can't remember the swimmer and I can't remember the year, but there was a photo shoot done with the Australian Olympic team had already been announced, and it was with a few of the swimmers or just Olympians maybe. And one of the girls had just put on a suit for the photo shoot, like a Speedo suit or something. the media was calling her fat about 3 months or 2 months out from the Olympics. It was either London or Beijing. And I just could not believe that they had the audacity to call one of their top athletes fat when she's just in her race. So, your lats, we got a lot more muscle and a lot more skin around our lats and shoulder area. So, some stuff's going to stick out. That's fine. And they just laid into her like she wasn't fit, she wasn't healthy, she wasn't this and that. And she was Australia's best, I want to say, breaststroker, but I don't know. I can't remember. I just thought that was interesting because, if you read into the media and you're affected by it a lot, that could have really affected her and her self-confidence and her performance. It could have affected her performance at the Olympics. I don't think it did, but it could have.
Yeah, absolutely. And we both know, like, those bathers are not forgiving at all. Like, there is no hiding. They are so skin tight that everything is going to pop out regardless of what your shape is.
Oh, yeah, it doesn't matter. And as you're putting it on, you just feel so unfit, don't you? It's like, it just never feels like it's going to go up, does it? You never feel like you're going to get it on, but you always do.
And you find bulges in places that you didn't know could even bulge because everything just comes out.
Oh, definitely. It's like, I didn't know that, I had like along my spine, like, what is this? When you've got the open back togs. Yeah. So I just thought it was astounding for a media outlet to be handing into one of their top athletes like that when she's literally in her quote unquote work clothes about to go and get medals for Australia. I just found that really interesting.
Yeah, it's amazing. And like you touched on before with how, if someone doesn't make it, or, they could have been first one year and fourth the next, and all of a sudden they're forgotten because they're not on that podium. And it is hard. And, although they did everything they could, and if they were to compete at the Olympics, they probably would still final and still perform really well. But as you said, it is cutthroat and it is harsh. And I think whilst it's important to be supportive of the people that do well and are happy with their achievements, it can, in some ways, I guess, almost be rubbed in faces of people that didn't make it, like them constantly posting. And whilst you don't want to take away from their happiness, it is hard having that in your face all the time.
It is, but I guess that's just part of it these days, because that can apply to everything. If you're, I don't know, financially not as well off and you choose to follow people with luxury cars, like, you're rubbing it in your own face as well. So, like, I think the best thing you can do, especially when you're in that mental state, is to just stay off social media for a few days or a week or so, like, because that's just not what you need right after you've just given it your all and haven't achieved what you've wanted to achieve. I definitely don't think it makes you any less successful. Fourth at an Australian trials, when our qualifying time pretty much makes you top 8 in the world. Sorry, like our Olympic qualifying time pretty much makes you top 8 in the world. That's a pretty high bar, and everyone does rise to it, or most do. So to be just outside of that, it's pretty devastating, especially when that's your goal. But there's always room for improvement, I guess, and you've just got to accept that you'll have next time, or, you've just got to power through how you're feeling, because it does get better.
I will throw a question at you here based on what you said about the media and, I guess, fat shaming. Is probably the right term to use there. What do you think is the relationship between sport, specifically swimming, and body image in general?
It's interesting. Like, athletes are held to such like a standard of being a cardboard cutout of each other. And so when someone's different, they're not immediately included or supported, and I don't mean, like, of course, if they make the team, they're on the team, but more socially. And that's not saying that anyone's being catty or anything. It's more of a societal standard that we have. Like, we've had some bigger swimmers who, they're just more stocky, they're not as slender, like, they're still making the Australian team. Like, you can't take that away from them because of how they look. Someone who stands out, and I absolutely love this woman, she is such a role model, is Brittany Elmsley. And, all I'd say about Britt is she does not have the generic swimmer stereotyped body type that we have, but she has a swimmer's body. She's an Olympian. She's a medalist. Like, you can't say she doesn't have a swimmer's body. I think there's a lot of pressure put on it, especially like with the girls. The guys, I can't really comment on that because I'm not one. So it's a bit harder to be like, I feel. No, but the girls, like a big pressure, you hear it around pool deck is everyone wants abs. And that seems like, you're a swimmer, why wouldn't you have abs? But, there's washboard cutout defined abs. It's, as a woman, we hold more fat, so it is a lot harder to achieve that. It's definitely still doable, but everybody's different. I don't think we should be discounting people's abilities based off of their aesthetics.
Yeah, absolutely. I couldn't agree more. And I think, I can't remember where I heard this or where I read it, but I've come across it at some point, is if you were to give the diet and the testing of the way we look to I guess a normal, in quotations, person, you'd be like, holy crap, like that's not healthy. You shouldn't be that strict. You shouldn't be scrutinizing your body in that way. Like that's not healthy. But yet as an athlete, that's normal.
Yeah, it's normal. And it has led, when it's gone to the extremes, it has led people to eating disorders and body dysmorphia and quitting the sport because of their diets or what they're told to eat or not eat. Especially when it starts really young, which is really upsetting because, you're losing a lot of amazing athletes at such a young age who had a lot of potential. It does also trickle into that mental health aspect as well of, are you okay with dealing with what most swimmers have to put up with in terms of diet culture and stuff and dealing with the body image that comes along with that. I personally, I'm pretty not relaxed. I'm pretty stringent with my diet, but I'm relaxed in the sense of like, if someone wants to comment on my body, I'll go, cool, good on ya, thanks. I think on TikTok the other day, someone actually thought I was a guy, so that's great. Thanks, TikTok. But, that's actually another factor of it is how masculine women's bodies are. We don't, a lot of us, you feel like a real fish out of water when you're glammed up in this dress and, you're muscly. Sometimes you're musclier than your partner, which is like, cool. I think there's nothing wrong with that, whatever. Your mates shouldn't judge you for that. But yeah, there's always backlash on social media for athletes dressing up. It's like, oh, you look like a man, whatever. Like, cool. That's never really affected me, but I know that it could definitely affect, especially the younger generation of athletes coming through. Not cool to be called that.
For sure. You've kind of said in there too that in a way, like water off a duck's back when things sort of get thrown your way. How do you handle expectations of, I guess, are they coming mainly from yourself or do you think they're external?
I have always believed that I will always set the highest bar for myself and always be my greatest critic. Those expectations kind of shift depending on A, what part of the season it is, and B, just honestly how my mental health is at the time. Like I do know that sometimes I need to be more casual with my diet just to have a bit of life enjoyment, and then, after a night of like, I don't know, burgers and chips or whatever, just go back into strict diet just to have that out. And it's not like I'm binging or anything, or I'm having a cheat day or whatever. It's just like once in a blue moon, it's like, hey, no, I want some ice cream, or I want this, or I want that. And it just keeps me happy. Like if there's one thing I've learned over the past year and a half, it's that I train and race best when I'm happy. So my expectation that I've set for myself is to remain happiest in the sport for longest. That's my big thing at the moment. In terms of my actual diet, I'm gluten and lactose intolerant, so it's very annoying. Yeah, like if I want to have a bit of ice cream or I want to have a bit of bread or something, it's like, it's not going to kill me.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's a really important message that you said there, is that you train and race best when you're happiest. And that's a really important goal to have. And I think that is such an important message for everyone to take on board as well.
Yeah, definitely. I hope that, everyone can kind of get to that state of mind, because there's nothing worse than doing something when you hate it.
Yeah, absolutely. What kind of impact do you think sport has had on your life then? And do you think that has changed, or do you reckon it stayed the same?
I'd say one of the main impacts is that it was my release and my escape from everything else going on in life. Like I could just go to the pool, no external worries. Doesn't matter if I've got, as a kid, if I've got homework due, or if, so and so's not talking to me, or whatever's going on. I could just get in the water and those issues won't affect my times, and I don't have to think about those things until I get out of the water. Like it was my Zen space. As I've grown up, it's become a lot more performance based, and I've actually enjoyed that challenge as well. Like it's very, I need to hit this time to go this fast in a race, and I need to do this to do this. And I've really enjoyed that as well. It's really transitioned from being the base of, like, I guess my mental health, really. Like who knows who I'd have needed to see if I didn't swim. And it's set up a really good foundation for discipline and being accountable. And, like they say that a lot of successful people do start as swimmers because they have those foundations in place. And it's definitely helped me in terms of uni, like even just my headspace. I feel fresh in the morning after a session, and then I can go to uni for 3 hours and, feel like I accomplished something before I've even set foot in the campus. So that's really helped as well. Aside from that, it's just the social side, I guess, which is also really important. Like having the friends at training is really good, a bit of banter, a bit of, you can laugh between the hard sets, which is important to keep you there. And yeah, I think that's kind of sums it up.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think swimming is very much such a high demand, especially at such a young age. How did you go managing that with school, and even now with uni? How do you find that life balance?
As a kid, I was lucky enough to have the support from my parents. Dad would get up with me at 4:30 and then go to work early after dropping me at training for his own gym stuff, so that he wasn't wasting the 3 hours of his morning. The same in high school with mum. I could drive to the pool. We'd leave my car at the pool all day. She'd come through, drop my brother and I to school with breakfast in the car. So like I was very lucky to have all that support. The balance during school was interesting because I was, training morning and night, and that can be very taxing, very demanding, but I just, it really allows you to become very disciplined and prioritize things correctly. So it's like I train, I go to school, I train, I do my homework, I sleep. And that was my days. Those were my days 5 days a week. Saturday mornings, obviously different, no school, all that jazz. As I got older, you start getting a bit more social and everything. Like I'm not a big partier, so it wasn't too much of an impact for me. With uni, the uni's been really supportive in my career as an athlete and allowing me to defer exams and extend assignments and things when needed. Like we've just had, for example, 3 back-to-back competitions, and I was at Thredbo for 10 days on an altitude camp. So I've actually missed more of this semester in person than I have been at the semester, at the campus for the semester. So this semester has been a struggle, to say the least, but it was a very rare occasion that season of swimming was going to be like this. So hopefully it'll be a bit more balanced out in the future. But yeah, no, uni's been great. The elite athlete programs at most unis really do support you. And another big thing is just I live by my Google Calendar. So I just time block everything that I need to do. And, I do limit my social capacity during hard training weeks because I am a bit of an introvert and I need to recover. So I need that time away from people to like just, clean my room, reset for the next week, read a book, sleep, napping. Oh, can't underestimate a good nap. How good's naps?
Absolutely not.
Yeah, it's just, and having a lot of supportive people around you helps as well. Like not just family, but my friends, like they understand, if I'm going to leave a party at 8 o'clock because I've got training the next day, they will start the party earlier at 6 so that I can be there for a couple of hours, or they just get it and they go, okay, you've only been here for an hour, half an hour. Cool. Good to see you. Have have fun at training the next day. I'm very blessed to be surrounded by the people that I am surrounded by.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it makes such a big difference too, having that support network and having those people around you that understand, because it does become very isolating if you don't have that understanding with the people around you.
Definitely, yeah. It can always be hard, especially I know my partner Dean, he's very supportive of me, but it was a bit hard for him to understand just how significant the demands of my sport were, because he'd be like, come over after training and we'll go, on a date when we first started dating. And I'm like, no, I need food and sleep, like not happening. And he just didn't understand that, because he's a night owl and he can survive on like 4 hours sleep, which I just can't do. I'm not a functioning human being unless I get, I guess, 7.
I think that's pretty standard for most of us too. I think we all need our sleep, and I think the pretty standard routine is training, sleep, eat, and repeat. That's pretty much the cycle.
Yeah, definitely.
So you've spoken about a lot of things that you've done to date. What would you say is one of your biggest achievements?
I would say performance-wise, I was invited onto the state team short course Queensland team in, I think, 2016 now, so a while ago. And I just really surprised myself at that meet. I came top 3 in all my races and did PBs, which I was really happy with. It was also my first team away. And I was just really proud of the fact that I was able to step up and really race hard and kind of put my name out there a bit. No one had any expectations on me going in. I was kind of, in lane 8, not top 3, not picked to win, nothing like that. But for all 3 races I did, so I was very happy. I think I maybe even won the 100 from heat 2, which was just a shock. No, everyone was like, what? Yeah, that was a pretty exciting moment. Since then, I've been to 2 Olympic trials. I haven't performed my best at either of them, but it is just such a privilege to be able to even race at an Olympic trials. And I just say one of my biggest achievements is just honestly loving the sport. It's so easy to turn the sport against you or turn yourself against the sport and continue doing it. And I'm really proud of the fact that I haven't done that. A lot of people do say, I need to quit before I hate it because it is such a demanding space. And, when your head's in the water, it's really not a social sport. And that's why it's important to have a good team around you who's going through the same thing. But yeah, just still enjoying it, still loving it. Still got goals. The next 3 years are pretty big years racing wise. We've got a Common Games, we've got a world champs or 2 world champs, and then another Olympics. So that's kind of where I want to see myself go. I know I've got a long way to go, but I believe I can do it, and we'll just keep enjoying it and see what happens.
I think that's so important. So to finish, I like to do 3 questions.
Yeah.
The first one, which I feel like you've kind of answered at the same time, is what is something that you're most proud of about yourself?
Yeah, probably just the happiness factor. And I guess also understanding when is a good time to actually change and initiate change, because it is hard leaving an old squad and finding a new one. It is very, you throw yourself out there to coaches and go, who wants me a little bit? So I'm very proud that I did push through with that and stick to that and not continue kind of getting to the place where I may have actually stopped enjoying the sport. So yeah, probably just that.
Yeah, absolutely something to be proud of too. What is your favorite quote or the best piece of advice that you've been given?
Oh, that's hard. I'm an overthinker. So one of them right before I race is my coach just gives me one thing to focus on for the whole race, and it'll just play over and over in my head. When I'm doing a 50 at nationals, it was lunge. I just had to think lunge forward, lunge forward, lunge forward. Or when I was doing the 200, it was build, and just think build over and over. It just kind of centers my focus onto one thing. And, I'm not looking around going, oh, where are they in the race? Or, oh, how am I doing? What's my time? What do I feel like I'm swimming? I just need to swim. So that's definitely been what's helped me the most. In terms of a quote though, I don't know. That's a hard one. I don't think I don't really keep a quote in my head that I refer to often. I think I just take in a lot of information and let it all influence me at the time, and then it kind of goes when it needs to go.
Yeah. I still think the advice though and how you center yourself before a race, I think is still awesome, because it's very easy to get caught up in what everybody else is doing and then forget the fact that you have to do your own race, because you know, you've done all the work and all the training leading in, and you have to go on that. Not, you can't control what the person in the lane next to you is doing.
Yeah, definitely. The only thing you control is you. And when you're swimming outdoors, the only thing you can control is you. Can't control the weather.
No. So the last thing is, do you have any tips for those that are listening?
I think just no matter the sport that you are doing, participating in, competing in, training for, just make sure you love it. And give it your all. Like if you need to drop back a uni subject or a shift at work or whatever it is, say no to an outing because you believe that you can take it further, do it, because you're not going to regret it.
So many important things that I think you've brought up in this chat. And so thank you so much for joining me today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Renee. Thanks for having me.